Prosecution has opened its case in the trial of two men accused of murdering the black student Stephen Lawrence in South London 18 years ago. The jury at the Old Bailey was told that he was the victim of a totally unprovoked racial attack by a gang of white youths. Gary Dobson, who's 36, and 35-year-old David Norris deny murder. The court heard that new examination of old evidence would be central to the prosecution's case, as Tom Simons reports.
The killing on this street on an April night in 1993 has been endlessly scrutinised. But the dark history of the Stephen Lawrence case has now entered a new chapter. Opening the case, the prosecution today described how Stephen was swallowed up by the weight of numbers and forced to the ground during the attack on him. Mark Ellison QC said Stephen and his friend Dwayne Brooks had simply been trying to get a bus home.
The court heard that as Stephen looked for the bus, a group of young white men ran across the road in front of him. One shouted racist abuse and then they attacked. Dwayne was a little bit further away. He managed to escape, but Stephen fell to the ground with 2 knife wounds. His attackers ran off. Stephen struggled to his feet. Bleeding, he managed to get a short distance down this road, but then he collapsed again. Stephen Lawrence was just 18 when he died.
There were eyewitnesses, but the case against David Norris and Gary Dobson rests instead on their clothes, seized by police. 4 years ago, forensic scientists discovered a 0.5 millimetre long bloodstain soaked into Gary Dobson's jacket, which the prosecution says matches Stephen's DNA. In an evidence bag containing David Norris's jeans, a tiny hair, again claimed to match Stephen's. Other forensic evidence includes clothing fibres and flakes of dried blood. But Tim Roberts QC, representing Gary Dobson, told the jury if the evidence were to be placed in a teaspoon for you to examine, you probably wouldn't be able to see it. It was, he said, a pinch of material. The defendants argue the bags containing their clothes have been contaminated by debris from those containing Stephen's over the many years since the killing. The prosecution said there was no realistic possibility of that. Rather, these two men were part of the group who attacked Stephen. His father, Neville, and mother, Doreen, are expected to attend every day of a trial likely to last at least 6 weeks. Tom Simons, BBC News at the Old Bailey.